Yeah.
That you've trawled through every runner.
I've trawled through
You've
every
gone
runner.
through it all.
I've trawled
every piece of form analysed.
every form analysed.
And you've got a Rick.
And I've got a Rick. Hello and welcome back to the Let's Talk Racing YouTube channel in association with Racing TV. We're here to preview the Irish Grand National meeting at Fairyhouse. But before we do so, this is the first video back since Cheltenham. It's one of those places, whenever you think life is going well, Cheltenham is always there to bring you back down to earth.
It can be a sobering environment at times. We were lucky enough to be there on the Tuesday and Wednesday. And look, there's been plenty said about the Cheltenham Festival over the last few weeks. I agree with some of it, I don't agree with some of it. It's still a great spectacle for me. Could it have gone better from a punting perspective? Yes, it definitely could.
It was pretty brutal, to be honest.
Yeah, I had a good start to the first day, and it was a pretty horrid, ever since Palamon was brought to a stop in the Boodles, it just went downhill from there. So, unfortunate in that respect. You've got to dust these things off. It can happen. I suppose for us, it's obviously disappointing when you build up to it for so long, and then you don't have maybe the week you wanted.
It was just one of those weeks, mate. It really was. Do you know why it was one of those weeks?
Why?
Because the winner of the first race, I knew I was off to a bad week when Slade Steele wins the Supreme, who I've been banging on about for the Ballamore all year. And then when second day, Ballyburn goes and wins.
Yeah.
Very good.
Right.
Factophile goes and absolutely hacks up Stay Away Fade. Nowhere to be seen. In the bumper, turning for home, I'm thinking Romeo Coolio
and Jalon Dudery. The two of them are the...
I'm here. It wasn't just absolute waffle, and Gordon really does think he's good. Still ran a great race, but gets beat. Facile Vega, nowhere to be seen in the Turners. And Brighter Days Ahead gets beat. And then in the Triumph Hurdle Madgeborough one, who I'd spoken about on this podcast in October, saying that he was possibly Willie's Triumph horse, was what the rumours were. And then the one I'd gone cold on in the county, Absurd, goes and wins as that. Just like...
It just felt like kick after kick in the end.
And even like the Albert Bartlett, I remember, I think we asked each other one question at the start of the season, who would you want to back for the race? I think I said Stellar Story. But just after the campaign you couldn't possibly back the horse?
No, not particularly. Like, it's just, he was absolutely lapped at Leopardstown. But it was just, as I say, it was one of those weeks. I won't dwell on it that much. It doesn't take away from the fact that I still love Cheltenham. I'll still be exactly the same going into next year, and hopefully we'll have a slightly better year. I enjoyed the experience there.
I felt like I'd been 12 rounds of Mike Tyson when I got back to London on the Thursday night.
Dear me, though. I got back on the Wednesday night. I was on the last train back from Cheltenham to London Paddington on the Wednesday evening. I got in on the Wednesday night. I was thinking to myself on the train back, how on earth have I done the full week the last few years? I'm not cut out for it anymore. Maybe the old man is coming into me.
They need a knighthood of the people that can do a full week.
Yeah. That was me back in the glory days. The glory days are clearly stopping.
We're getting old, mate.
Yeah. I feel every second of it.
It's brutal. But a good week, a very enjoyable week, but blimey, Cheltenham does know when to kick you. And kick you when you're down as well. Anyway, Fairyhouse to chat about. We're going to basically fire through all of the feature races effectively and finish on the Irish Grand National. We do hope you enjoyed the video. If you do, please hit that like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and do get your comments down below. We've got an Aintree preview coming out very, very soon for the Aintree Festival. That'll probably be on the Tuesday of Aintree week. So a slightly different schedule for upcoming weeks.
You've got big plans for the Aintree Grand National as well. I think if people go to Liverpool, they might be seeing your big mug.
Yeah, unfortunately, if you are going to Aintree on the Thursday or the Saturday, I'll be doing the big screens, which is great fun and a very good opportunity, and one that I wouldn't get without your support. So massive thank you.
Very well deserved.
For that. Thanks, mate. Now let's fire on. We're going to start with a 2-mile handicap hurdle listed race.
Well, we're really giving ourselves an easy way back in.
We've got Mr. Jiff in there, who is coming up for 5th in the Supreme. Biley Stock, Daddy Longlegs, What's Up Darling, Comfort Zone, Risk Bell. Basically horses who tend to run in races like this, other than Mr. Jiff, who could be interesting coming from Grade 1 company.
Yeah, very much so. Look, there's plenty of horses in this weekend that have 2 or 3 different entries between graded races. There's grade 2s on the Sunday. There's this big handicap hurdle.
Comfort Zone's interesting for Joseph. Do you reckon that he's just having a run before he goes on the flat, or is there a punches down handicap?
But potentially so. The thing is, he's got an ability to win a race like this, especially of 132. It's whether really the money comes for him. It'd be interesting to see jockey bookings with Mark Walsh. Obviously, One Last Tango he rode in the Pierce Hurdle at Leopardstown the last day. Risk Bell has always been lurking in a race like this. It's full of kind of quite the standard types of horses, as you say, the Bialystocks, the Westport Coves. Potentially a horse like Westport Cove. I know he was disappointing last time out. I just wouldn't give up on him. I know he's a temperamental horse. He has to be ridden, off the back of the pace. He's a keen type of horse. But one of these races could fall his way. You've got plenty of horses like that. The By Your Sides, Conyers Hill. I don't really think Conyers Hill's up to winning a huge race like this. But I think it'll be a good race, and maybe Westport Cove at a price.
I think I'll be backing Risk Bell if she was to run. In the 2.5 mile Honeysuckle Mares Novices Hurdle, this is a grade 1. This looks like a brilliant race. We're going to have Brighter Days Ahead in there at 9-4. J. De Grugy, 11-4. Jatara, 7-2. Carla Conti could run. Fun. Only by Night. Some really, really smart mares. This is kind of the big novice hurdle for mares ran all season.
Yeah.
It's the only grade 1.
Yeah, no, it's a proper race. Obviously, the Brighter Days Ahead, J. De Grugy race at Cheltenham, it was a flattener. Like, if anything was going to flatten me, it was that race.
Well, because to be perfectly honest with you, I was with Brighter Days Ahead, but if J. De Grugy had gone and absolutely hacked up, it was something to get excited about. And obviously Golden Ace you can get very excited about, but I still think I think if you look at that race, and I know Brighter Days Ahead finished 2nd, and I know J. De Grugy finished 4th, and this might be my issue that I just think that they're better horses, but I think in a year or two's time they will be the better horses that ran in that race.
Yeah, I just thought I was exactly the same. I was probably the flip of you. I was on J. De Grugy, but if Brighter Days Ahead had gone and won by 10 lengths, I'd have just licked my wounds and gone, no worries.
Yeah,
I was just a little bit disappointed. I don't believe, and I think they're the best 2 in the business, but I don't think it was Jack Kennedy and Paul Townend's best moment in the saddle all week, that's for sure. I think they were very conscious of the other 2, or of each other, but not necessarily of everyone else.
Yeah.
And when you're looking at Brighter Days Ahead, who's won a grade 2 over 2.5 at Navan, and J. De Grugy, who's won a maiden hurdle over 2.4 on heavy at Leopardstown, and neither of them made any use of their stamina, and then the quick horse goes and picks them up.
Fergal O'Brien will be seething.
Oh, jeez. She would have won.
I think she would have, yeah.
Especially if you told me before the race that it would have been run like that.
I think she'd have.
I don't know whether it would have been run like that, though, if she was in the race.
Possibly.
If you get me, I think they'd have been more worried about her. But I think when she came out of the race, they were like, well, the rest of them are the rest of them. And I think they were just left a little bit napping. I would love to see how this race will go. I'm going to take another chance on J. De Grugy. I'm going to give her one more go. I feel it could be a little bit like the whole Brandy Loves scenario. When she was a novice hurdler, I know she didn't end up running in the Mares Novice because of a stone bruise. She came to this race and she absolutely hacked up. I'm not saying J. De Grugy will do that, but she's won at Fairyhouse. I think she wants a trip and perhaps ridden a little bit more aggressively.
I think this is Brighter Days Ahead best trip over 2.5 currently, so I'm going to stick with her. I actually think that 9-4 will look possibly a big price at the off as well. I think that she'll be punted in. It was a good run at Cheltenham, denied by a quicker horse in a slowly run race. I think this is a proper 2.5 mile heavy ground test is what she absolutely wants. The 2.5 mile novice hurdle grade 2 comes on the same day. It's the race after. No flies on him stepping up to 2.5. How do you pronounce that? Toonservator. Rushmount in there, De Capo, Mossy Fen Park. I actually think Mossy Fen Park is interesting. I think he's a really, really nice horse long term for Henry de Bromhead. Only a 5-year-old. I was very impressed with him the last time we saw him. He's 6-1. I think I might just about side with him here if he was to run.
I can see that. No flies on him goes up in trip. Look, I'm a big fan of the horse. I'd perhaps let him win at the price he is at 7-4. I'm going to take a chance on Rushmount in this for Jonathan Sweeney. I think he's been really impressive. Just touched off by Lecky Watson back in November. Won with any amount in hand the last day. He does step down in trip to 2.5 miles, but I've been talking to Mikey O'Sullivan, who's ridden the horse a few times. He's very happy and very keen on his chances of running a big race, and I think at 5-1 that's a fair price.
The following race is a 2 mile novice hurdle, a grade 2. Mirrorville West, 5-2 favourite currently. De Capo also entered in the 2.5 mile race that we just touched on. Is in there. Western Diego, Another Way, Daddy Longlegs, a Toon Civator. Nice. Mirrorville West is one of those horses where if he was to win this race by 10 lengths and went off 5-2, you'd go, how on earth have we not backed that horse? But you can't trust him, can you? No, especially over hurdles.
No, I won't be. He won't be parting with my hard earned. Kind of reminds me a little bit of Gentleman to Me in terms of like in a weird way. I could see him still being like a grade 1 horse at some stage, but I don't know. He's been a Fruit Loop. I know
he's closely related with Fernie Hollow, but you know in Fernie Hollow's bumper campaign when he was beaten by quite average horses, then suddenly he'd be really good, and then he was beaten again, and then he won the champion bumper. He's very close to that over hurdles. It looks good one day, then looks bang average the next.
Yeah, I just think to a certain extent, I know they don't want him to be too keen, but does he not just need to be given the office and just like stop kind of messing around trying to kind of keep a lid on him? Go out in front. I think if they do that, I think he'd take a lot of stopping, but he won't be carrying my money.
The second grade 1 that we're going to touch on is the 2.5 mile Willow Warm Gold Cup. Blood Destiny in there, Spillane's Tower, Il Était Temps, possibly, Founder 50, possibly, Tactical Move, Xana here, Saint Felicien. Some good horses in there without having a real superstar. Blood Destiny favourite, is that right?
I'd say just about. Him and Spillane's Tower have been having kind of matchups seemingly every month. It's 1-1 between the two of them at the moment. I don't know if these Cheltenham horses, I'd be doubtful Founder 50 would run.
He's had quite a busy campaign, hasn't he?
He has, yeah. I thought he'd be saved for Punchestown, maybe for one more run over 2 miles. Tom could well run. I would take him on over 2.5 miles. I'd also take him on away from Leopardstown. I think that's where he's at his best. I think I'd end up coming down on Spillane's Tower. I'm just not sure Blood Destiny actually wants 2.5 miles. He's been a bit of a weak finisher over 2.5 miles in the past.
Jumps so well though.
He does, but that's why I kind of feel he should almost be a 2-miler. Yeah. But I don't know whether he has actually the speed for that. I can see their conundrum, but I think Spillane's Star is very good. He picked him up over 2.5 miles 2 starts ago. I think he can do it again.
The following race is a 2.5 mile hurdle, grade 2. Ashdale Bob in there, steering for launch, Beacon Edge, bringing up a storm for roll. Go on, Ol. Maxim, no looking back. Sir Gerhard, the Devil's Coachman, Zarak the Brave. I thought the two that screamed at me after Sir Gerhard's poor run at the Cheltenham Festival was the Devil's Coachman and Zarak the Brave. Will Zarak the Brave stay 2.5 miles?
I think he might do, and I think he'd probably take the beating based off his champion hurdle run if he was to turn out in this. The Devil's Coachman probably wants it to remain soft. No Meads horses are in much better nick than they were when this horse disappointed in the Galmoy hurdle, so I can see why you'd give him a good chance, and I would too. Good to see no looking back in the entries. He won't be winning a race like this, but he's a horse I really liked at the start of the season for Ollie McKiernan. They've had setbacks with him.
Would you prefer him to win or Bruin? Ollie McKiernan.
That's like saying whether I prefer my mum or my dad. You can't be doing that sort of carry on. But I would love to see a photo finish dead heat between number 4 and 6.
So who are you siding with? Zarak the Brave?
I think he's the most likely winner, yeah.
I think the Devil Coachman for me, just more stamina and it's proven. The following race, the penultimate race we're going to preview is the 2 mile, 3 furlong. It's another Irish word, mate. McInerney. Properties, Fairyhouse Chase, great. Appreciate it, Ashby Meadow, easy game. Aspenite Bello, Phil Dore, Journey with Me, Rebel Gold, Saint Sam. Surely if Appreciate It's going to win another race, it's going to be this.
You'd think so. My worry is still how they're going to ride him, though, because
ride him forward.
Yeah, I understand, but the problem is Saint Sam's going to be ridden forward. I think Townend will be on Saint Sam. I know you're yawning at that.
When's this horse actually going to win a race?
I don't know. I want him to. I really like this horse. I have done for years, and yet he's kind of.
Surely Saint Sam isn't a 7 pound better horse and Appreciate It on rating.
No, but that's a little bit like. Remember when Mick Pastor was rated like 148 for Nichols? The people get jumpy about winning small field races. I'd like to think Appreciate It will win it, but He certainly won't be carrying my last fiver.
No, but he carry my middle fivers. The final race we're going to preview is the Irish Grand National. Obviously the big race that you've come here for us to preview.
I've heard a rumour that you've trawled through every runner.
I've trawled through every runner.
Through it all.
I've trawled
every piece of form analysed.
Every form analysed.
And you've got a Rick.
And I've got a Rick. It's called Nick Rocket, the favourite at 4-1. Off 146, the form couldn't be working out much better. Won at this meeting last year over 2.5 miles. The form with Corbett's Cross is looking very good from the start of the season, albeit I know that he's probably drastically improved, but didn't go to Cheltenham, saved him for this. I honestly, I'm not a huge fan of putting up favourites for Grand Nationals.
Can't wait for you to put up Car Grand.
No, I don't think I'll be doing that, but I think Townend's going to be on. Yeah. I think he's possibly the best horse in the race, or well up there.
Definitely, yeah.
And he's off 146, carrying 10 stone 13.
I can very much see the point.
I just think he could go and win.
Yeah, you're not obviously. I don't think either of us are telling anyone what they don't know already. But his form this year has been quite good. I feel they've been right. They've been kind of campaigning him all year with this race in mind. 2 races at Fairyhouse, even the last day with American Mike. I thought it was an interesting ride. He was given an awful lot to do. This seems to be what they wanted. I would throw Man into the mix. I think he's a good horse that's improving for Gavin Cromwell. Was very good in heavy ground at Haydock in the Grand National Trial the last day. He's off 140. Horse I don't like at all in this race is Intense Raffles. I know he's an improving horse. He's been very good in his 2 starts for Tom Gibney, but I don't know really the worth of those.
Okay.
And he's been very much overbet. And Any Second Now has come in for an awful lot of support. I can see he's obviously very well handicapped on his best form. I just worry whether the wheels are still turning. And therefore, Nick Rocket and Man, both 7-year-olds, I'll be touching them against the field.
Do you have any best bets?
I do have a few best bets actually for you. I have named 2 of the 3 so far. So I have got Rushmount in the Grade 2 Novices Hurdle on the Sunday. I've got Jay de Grugy in the Grade 1 Mares Novice Hurdle on the Sunday. Rushmount is 5-1 by the way. Jay de Grugy best price 11-4, and I quite like a horse in the Lady Jockeys Handicap Chase on the Saturday. I believe it's the 5:05 on Saturday. I'm going to have one more chance on the Tony Martin trained Read to Return. Obviously it was an eye catcher at the November meeting. He got a slightly strange ride. I think Maxine O'Sullivan will potentially ride, given she usually rides for Tony Martin in those types of races. I think he will have a very good chance.
I've got a 4. Brighter Days Ahead at 9-4.
You love just taking me up.
I very, very much like Nick Rocket in the Grand National. I think that he can go and win that race. I'm hoping so. Appreciate it if he was to run over 2.5 miles. Finally, hopefully gets his day. And then it looks like there's a chance the Yellow Clay might make his hurdling debut in a maiden hurdle in the first race on the second day on the Sunday. I think if he was to do that, obviously it's not going to be a massive price, but I think there's a few interesting horses in there. If he was to go and run there, I could see him being around the even money mark, and I think he'll go and win.
We are trying to get a winner on the board.
A winner.
That will be the hope.
That is the hope, and it would be a winner more than we did at Cheltenham. We do hope you've enjoyed this video. Please hit that like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and we'll see you soon.